illegal.
Yeah, right.
The US or Israel have no grounds to attack Iran. In fact, they started bombing right in the middle of the negotiations. And the Jordanian negotiator, the foreign minister of Jordan, said that the negotiations were going really well and Iran had agreed to minimal nuclear activity. But before the negotiations ended, they were supposed to meet again today. US and Israel attacked Iran, killing hundreds of Iranians. Obviously, these attacks are not about Iran's nuclear activity. As Lisa said, Iran does not have nuclear weapons. The UN Security Council and even the Pentagon have confirmed that Iran doesn't have weapons, nuclear weapons, or weapons-grade uranium, or any plans to make nuclear weapons. By the way, in case you don't know, Ayatollah Khamenei, whom they killed, had issued a fatwa years ago against the building of nuclear weapons because it's against, he said, it's against the tenets of Sharia Islam. So they killed him even though he, in his fatwa he had said Iran cannot make nuclear weapons. And it was, of course, a major factor for Iran not to develop nuclear weapons. But even if Iran had nuclear weapons, the US or Israel do not have the right to attack Iran. The US has 5,550 nuclear heads. The US is the only country that has ever dropped nuclear weapons. The US is the only country that has attacked 8 countries in the past year. In 2026, it bombed Venezuela, unlawfully kidnapping President Maduro and his partner Celia Chavez. Let's be honest, the US is the most irrational, the most irresponsible, and the most dangerous state that bullies others and abuses its weapons and sponsors terrorism around the world.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But nobody puts sanctions on the US or bombs it for developing and owning 5,500 nuclear weapons, even as the US has started more wars than any other country. And Israel has over 450 nuclear heads. They say 90, but we know Israel always lies. And it refuses to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel is accused by the International Court of Justice and ICC of committing genocide and war crimes. According to UNICEF, Israel has killed over 50,000 Palestinian children since October of 2023. And Israel continues to kill children in Gaza despite the ceasefire. Bombing schools is a war crime, yet Israel has bombed every school and hospital in Gaza and has killed more journalists than any other state. Only in 2025, Israel attacked Palestine, Iran, Lebanon, Qatar, Syria, and Yemen. It also attacked 8 flotillas in Tunisian, Maltese, and Greek territorial waters. Israel has illegally occupied Palestinian land since 1967. Okay. So if there are terrorist states that pose a danger to the world, they're the United States and Israel and not Iran. And let's, of course, not forget their domestic terrorism with ICE and also the IOF in occupied Palestine. So I'm going to say a few words about whether freeing the Iranian people is why US and Israel are attacking Iran. US has never freed anyone. It has only supported dictatorships, installed conservative neoliberal regimes, and created civil war and perpetuated violence in every single place it has intervened. If the US and Israel were such benevolent advocates of freedom, they wouldn't have the largest number of prisoners in the world. They wouldn't, Israel would not trap 2.1 Palestinians in Gaza in what many have called the largest open prison. If the US really cared about the Iranian people, it would lift the sanctions on Iran, because sanctions are war by another name. Yeah. Sanctions have devastated the Iranian economy. And the recent protests that you saw were exactly because of the long-term effects of the sanctions on Iran. Because the sanctions have crippled the Iranian economy. And it's exactly because of years of sanctions that the economy has collapsed and the discontent among people US and Israel hijacked the Iranian people's legitimate protests, and they have made it look like these are about regime change. The Iranian people do not want the return of monarchy. Maybe you hear that in diaspora, maybe you see it on social media, but that is because they're US-backed, they're Israeli-backed, and they have lots of resources to basically use their propaganda to make it look that the Iranian people want a monarchy. The Iranian people do not want a dictator to come back. I know I'm out of time, so we are going to do one. Can I do one chant?
Yeah.
All right, all right. So this is the chant that some of the monarchists do, which goes like this: Na Gaza, na Lebanon, janam fadai Iran, which means neither Gaza, neither nor Lebanon. I sacrifice my life for Iran. But we have changed it to say Na Gaza, na Lebanon, nistan joda az Iran. I know that's hard for you to say, so you only do Na Gaza, na Lebanon, I do nistan joda az Iran. Ready? Na Gaza, na Lebanon, nistan joda az Iran. Na Gaza, na Lebanon, nistan joda az Iran. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sima. Please come up next.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sima. Assalamu alaikum. So right now we're going to have the adhan, the call to prayer. So for those of you who are fasting, please come over here and break your fast. We've got some food for you. We're going to call the adhan, we're going to have another speech, and we're going to pray at 6:25. So for those of you who are breaking fast a little later, we'll be praying at 6:25 anyway. And I'll be over here. So, the adhan.
أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
Continúan las manifestaciones de oposición ante los ataques de
أشهد أن محمدا
Estamos en San Francisco y al regresar tendremos los detalles de la protesta que está llevándose a cabo en este momento.
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Sarko, please come break your fast.
Thank you very much. Before the prayer, we will have one more speaker. I'd like to introduce Richard Becker of the Answer Coalition. Please welcome Richard Becker.
It's great to see everyone out here tonight in more than 60 cities that we know of. Demonstrations are taking place today. There were 100 or more on Saturday and many more yesterday. People are mobilizing, and this is something that we have to continue. Because the mass media is so awful and doesn't really give us any background, any historical context, and really it is impossible to understand any contemporary event or development without knowing some of the historical background. From the early 1900s to 1951, Britain was the neo-colonial ruler of Iran, or Persia as it was known earlier. In 1913, under the leadership of that supreme imperialist and racist Winston Churchill, the British Navy, the main power, the core of its empire, its imperial power, switched its navy from coal to oil. And where did the oil come from? It came from Iran. And yet the oil of other countries in the Middle East was not yet discovered, had not yet been discovered. So this was the basis upon which the British Navy was able to continue its domination of so much of the world. The workers who lived in the oil fields of Iran lived under conditions which are beyond description. They lived in what was called Paper City, because that's what their so-called houses were made of. They lived in oil, and they were paid 50 cents a day, not 50 cents an hour. In 1951, the first democratically elected government in the history of Iran came to power. It was headed by Mohammad Mossadegh, a progressive nationalist, a secular nationalist. His government nationalized the oil company, and in response there was a total boycott by Britain and the United States that blocked all oil sales, virtually all oil sales by Iran in the world. In the US and the British media, Mossadegh was labeled a fanatic, a madman, a dictator. Sound familiar? The coup by the British and the U.S. Secret Service took place in 1953, and it came on the heels of the policies that had brought about so much dislocation inside the country. Over the next 25 years that the government of the Shah was in power, over 100,000 people were tortured and many, many of them killed. That was the government that was instituted really by the United States, by Kermit Roosevelt and by others. And the coup that brought the Shah back to power, the king, in the name of democracy, we are bringing back a king, was really also what brought the U.S. to be the dominant power in Iran. After the overthrow of Mossadegh, the New York Times, which had been agitating for this to happen, for the overthrow, said this. This is an official editorial statement by the New York Times, and listen carefully. Underdeveloped countries with rich resources have now an object lesson in the heavy cost that must be paid by one of their number which goes berserk with fanatical nationalism. Do you understand those words? Meaning that if they want to use the resources for themselves, that's fanatical nationalism, and they must be overthrown. Since the revolution in 1979 that overthrew the hated Shah regime, the U.S. and its allies have been trying to bring about regime change. And on Saturday, that entered a new phase. But we should be clear about this, that it didn't matter from the point of view of the imperialists, from the U.S. particularly, whether or not the government was a progressive, secular, nationalist government, or whether it was an Islamic government. Their focus was on taking back Iran, and that is what their focus is today. They try to pretend that this has something to do with democracy. It has nothing to do with that at all. Trump is on a rampage now. In the past 2 months, he has ordered the kidnapping of one head of state and the assassination of another. This is something that we actually haven't seen before. While launching a new war in the Middle East on top of the ongoing war and the genocide against the Palestinian people. Trump is demanding the return of Cuba to the status of U.S. colony and has imposed even more cruel measures on the people there. In between all of this, he declared once again that climate change is a hoax and issued an executive order ending emission controls goes into effect, which will mean the deaths, the early deaths of millions, and even more catastrophic damage to the environment. All of this in the last 2 months. Shame. What kind of a system, we must ask, is this that gives such power to an individual, don't call him a dictator, such power to an individual, his cronies, and the billionaire class that they represent? What enables them to do so much damage, to cause so much death and destruction? It certainly is not a democracy. It is the dictatorship of the super rich, the imperialists. It is the power of the capitalist system that we are seeing unfold in the most horrible ways. Shame. What Trump and his gang are doing must not stand. And the only force that can stop it is the people. The people organized and steadfast. We should think of that word in particular, steadfast, samud in Arabic, that the Palestinian people have brought to the world, that we must be steadfast in our struggle. We must not lose confidence in what the people can do, because the people can accomplish everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Before we go to prayer, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. He is the Peace and Freedom Party candidate for governor in 2026, Ramsey Robinson.
Yeah. Like Richard said, speaking of people, let's make some noise. People, good to see everybody out here. Let's make some noise. Yeah. This war, like every U.S. regime change war, is based on lies. Is that right? You know they lied about Iraq. They lied about Vietnam. They lied about Palestine. They lied about Venezuela. And they lied because they know there is no justification for these wars. There's no justification for these regime changes. Is that right? They have demonized Iran decade after decade because they want us to see ourselves on the side of the billionaires that want these wars. But we know we have nothing in common with these billionaires, and we have everything in common with the people of Iran. Is that right? These politicians, they try to convince us that we need to send more money for war. They have a $1 trillion, $1 billion warcraft ship attacking the world. They know that when we get together and flex our power, we can't be stopped and we can end this war. Is that right? They know that when they drop bombs on Iran, that they are, here in America, they are killing protesters. ISIS is killing protesters, ICE here. They know when they drop bombs on schools in Iran, that they're closing down schools here in California. They know when the U.S. government sends more of our tax money to fund an endless war, that they at the same time are defunding our hospitals and our schools here. Shame. They know that when we get together, we can flex our power to end this, though. And they know that even though Trump started this war, it's the Democrats that still support it. They might be okay with how, they might not be okay with how Trump talks about the war, but they still support the war's outcome. So we know, when they tell us to vote for the Democrats in the midterms, we see through those lies as well. The billionaires, they got their two parties. The billionaires have the Democrats and the Republicans. And we working people, we need our own party, and that is the Peace and Freedom Party. Make some noise for that, y'all. As the candidate for the Peace and Freedom Party of Governor of California, I will stop any penny that is going to a genocide in Palestine. I will stop any money and divest any money from our pension funds that are going to fund a genocide in Palestine. And I will use the $4 trillion economy that we have right here in California to make sure that all of our needs are met. Housing, healthcare, education, guaranteeing jobs, and none of that will go to ICE, and none of that will go to war. But to win, we need to do this. We need to know that our struggles are connected. We need to know that our fight for liberation here is the same fight to end war abroad. And the Peace and Freedom Party is part of this mass movement to do just that. So we encourage you, check out RamseyForGov.com, volunteer with us, and let's build this mass movement to end war, and we can do it together. Thank you, y'all.
Thank you, Ramsey. And now I'd like to call up Amin, who will lead the prayer.
All right, y'all, we're going to go pray over here. So if you're praying, come join us. And if you never prayed before and want to join, you're also welcome to. All right. Shukran.
We got terrorists!
Backing up while somebody else is following him. Oh, all right. Should someone hide his vest? Know about go over there? Fuera de un marco de respeto y de tranquilidad. Así que de esta manera ahora mismo y bueno, de esta manera
Yes.
Like we basically take the entire the second that entire yeah, that's there. What do you do? What is
Okay, San Francisco, let's come back. Let's come back. We're all here showing that we reject the U.S. war on Iran, in solidarity with the Iranian people, in solidarity with people all over the world who oppose war, in solidarity with all of our people here in our communities who oppose the war on us at home. As Ramsey said, just like the U.S. is bombing people abroad, they have ICE capturing and putting in detention our people here. There's a war abroad, and they are also running a war here at home. And we are here to reject all of that. What do you say, Constanza?
I say that the biggest threat in the world today, Israel and the USA.
Israel and the USA.
The biggest threat in the world today.
The biggest threat in the world today.
Israel and the USA.
Israel and the USA.
Biggest threat in the world today.
The biggest threat in the world today.
Israel and the USA.
Israel and the USA.
Biggest threat in the world today.
Biggest threat in the world today.
Israel and the USA.
Israel and the USA.
Biggest threat in the world today.
Biggest threat in the world today.
Israel and the USA.
Israel and the USA.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now we have our next speaker, Arthur from 5051. Please welcome Arthur.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing tonight? My name is Arthur Wolf. I organize with 5051 San Francisco. We are in partnership with Indivisible, a lot of the folks here. We are going to be putting on No Kings at the end of the month. I hope to see you there. I will be your host, so I will definitely see you there. I will be there. I don't really have anything prepared tonight because, I don't know about you, but I feel hurt and overwhelmed. It's been a long year, and we're only, like, what, exactly 2 months in? We started on the 3rd by hearing about bombings in Venezuela, and here we are at the beginning of March, and we're already bombing a new country. What are we doing? Shame. As we see this administration escalate, we need to reach new levels of our protests, of our resistance, of our solidarity. This is the year that we fight back. Last year, we were caught on the back foot. It took us a while to get things together, but we planned, we organized, and you all showed up. Now, we use our power, we solidify, and we change the tables on these pedophiles, on these billionaires, on these people that don't give a fuck about us. We are not silent. We will not be complicit. This is not us. Solidarity forever. My assignment to you tonight and going forward is for you to have that tough conversation with somebody in your life that is not currently here and has not attended a No Kings or any events because they're too busy, or they don't politics because it doesn't affect them, because the fuck it doesn't. That is your assignment from me, to have that tough conversation, to invite them to the next protest, to bring them out for no kings, because we are ready to escalate things. On May 1st is our next big event after the No Kings. We are planning to shut shit down. But we cannot do that without numbers. We cannot do that without solidarity. I cannot do that without you, and you cannot do that without me. So as we solidify as a common people, the organizers here as well, we need to solidify. If I don't have my number in your phone book and you don't have my number in your phone book, we need to straighten that. Because right now the time is to come together and to fight together.
Not with the Democrats.
So I welcome you all tonight. Thank you for everybody who helped put this together. PYM, AROC, PSL, Answer Coalition 5051. This is what we need. We need to continue to show up for each other. Whether it's our black communities, whether it's our Hispanic communities, whether it's our Palestinian communities, our Iranian communities. Reach across the aisle. It was absolutely beautiful that they included us in their prayers tonight and with their breaking of the fast. This is the community that they want to break up, because they know when we commune like this that we can fuck shit up. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. And next, we have a longtime organizer against U.S. war and domination around the world. Please welcome Mike Wong from Vets for Peace.
Good evening. My name is Michael Wong. I'm the Vice President of the San Francisco Chapter of Veterans for Peace, and I also serve on the National Board. As you all know, this war is wrong politically, morally, and legally. More than that, it is a stupid war militarily. This is another war of choice that the United States will lose. Iran is 3 times the size of Iraq. It has mountains like Afghanistan, cities like Iraq. It has weapons far more advanced than Saddam Hussein did when we invaded Iraq. They have swarms of drones, hypersonic missiles, or I should say ballistic missiles. They have submarines. They have swarms of fast attack boats that can swarm and attack our ships. They have allies throughout the region. They have a highly educated population that is very capable. And they have a government that has withstood all sorts of attacks, including colored revolutions, that the United States has plotted against Iran. There's also a deeper strength that they have. If you think of the large wars, the major wars that the United States has had in my lifetime, the Korean War against North Korea and China, the Vietnam War against the Vietnamese, the Iraq War, the Afghan War, and now the Iran War. What do all of these countries that I just named have in common? These 5 countries are all ancient countries. Their history dates back 5,000 years, 7,000 years. We're talking long histories. These nations, these civilizations, these cultures have seen the coming and going of great powers before. The Washington elites run around talking about, we're number one, we're number one. No, countries, great powers have come and gone for thousands of years, but these civilizations have endured. They are resilient. They have deep cultural roots. They have a long history, and they have ways of thinking and understanding and living that the American elite have no idea of. All of these empires, including the colonial period empires, the Roman empires, they always overextend themselves, they become unsustainable, they crash and burn. Some of them, like the Roman Empire, cease to exist. Others, if they're lucky and wise, they retreat and just become normal countries. The United States would do well to follow that example, retreat and become a normal country rather than an empire. Our country is a baby country. It's only 250 years old, compared to thousands of years of these 5 countries that I just named. And there are other ancient countries, too, that also have deep roots and resilience. 1,000 years from now, these countries have a good chance of still being here. With us, I don't know. Peace is the only way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And yes, to reiterate, this is a movement for peace. That's what we are. We are a movement for peace. And next, I'd like to introduce an organizer with ASME 3299. Please welcome Nicholas Montero.
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
No war on Iran!
No war on Iran!
No war on Iran!
No war on Iran!
Alright, so I'm with ASME 3299. Our logo represents UC workers. So if you've gone to a UC school, if you've gone CARA UC Health Medical Center, you've probably interacted with our members. We represent 40,000 employees across the UC system. And our chant is 32.99. So when I say 32, you say 99. 32?
99!
32!
99!
Alright, so ASME 3299 condemns the inhumane attacks against the people of Palestine by the Israeli military forces and the people of Iran by the U.S. government. The Israeli military continues to attack Gaza despite the ceasefire between Israel and Palestine. Palestinians continue to face ethnic cleansing and their rights for self-determination violated. We have seen the University of California behaving more and more like the current authoritarian administration. They invest millions to Blackstone that directly funnels and funds the Israeli genocide. Just a couple years ago, we saw UC limiting pro-Palestine speech and illegally arrest pro-Palestine activists at UC campuses. Most recently, 3 of our organizers were illegally arrested at UC Riverside for demanding a fair contract to our members. As the largest employee union at the University of California, ASME 3299 continues to hold institutional memory and the moral disposition of movements against apartheid. With the national upheaval to stand against human rights violations and condone the violent act of the continued ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people by the Israeli government. Having already taken a stance against state violence in the form of police forces in the United States that brutalize and murder vulnerable communities in the service of capital, and being a union whose membership is of the very communities vulnerable to this violence, the ASME 3299 firms joins the call against these racist, violent, and illegal acts. We stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people fight for liberation and against apartheid, and we stand with the people of Iran. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. And next, from Palestinian Youth Movement, they have helped our movement to understand that the U.S. is dominating everywhere and absolutely we must oppose Israeli aggression against Palestinians. Please welcome Basman from Palestinian Youth Movement.
here to stand strongly with you against the war with Iran. Just 2 days ago, the United States and Israel launched a massive military offense against Iran, killing Iranian leadership, including Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, and many of his closest advisors, as well as hundreds of Iranian civilians, including children, in a joint airstrike over Tehran. Shame! To be clear, this was not diplomacy. This was an explicit act of war. This happened even as Iran signaled openness to talks to prevent escalation. And this echoes last year's 12-day war and countless other instances where the United States and its imperialist allies have responded to diplomatic openings with bombs. Just like Venezuela, just like Palestine, and now like Iran, the United States shows its true face: naked violence and militarism. Shame. Shame. We know from over 2 years of genocide in Gaza what Israel and the United States' goals truly are. They are in pursuit of land and resources, and they are ready to make sure that the people are beaten down and oppressed so they cannot resist the theft and barbarity of imperialism. Shame! Israel's strikes have hit deep inside Iran, including a girls' elementary school where over 150 of the students were reported killed. Shame! This is a massacre that echoes the genocide in Gaza and reverberates around the world. Israel and the United States are now dragging the entire region into war. We see that in response to the brutality of imperialism, Iran has attacked many different countries in the Arab region. And that is because they are hosts to U.S. military. They are hosts to imperial militarism in order to maintain U.S. control and barbarity within the region. Shame! So let's be clear that this, quote, defensive attack narrative that Israel and the United States are claiming ignores reality. It ignores the bodies of school children crushed under the rubble of missile strikes by Israel. It ignores the people in Tehran and other cities who are wounded or killed from these bombardments. It ignores the continued suffering of Palestinians, Yemenis, Lebanese, Iranians, and others living through violence day after day at the hands of U.S. brutality and Israeli brutality. It also ignores the ways that we experienced U.S. imperialism right here within our cities and amongst our peoples. We know that whatever the United States and its war dog Israel does within the region, we come back and face it here, where black and brown communities and indigenous communities witness the brutality of abroad here within our lands. The same forces driving this war are rooted in a long history of denying sovereignty and self-determination to nations around the world. The United States likes to pretend to speak the language of democracy, and yet repeatedly undermines the sovereignties of countries that refuse to submit their political and economic sovereignty to U.S. control. Whether it is sanctions or coups, assassinations, military threats, these are tools that are used to weaken independent states and dictate their futures from afar. That is what we mean when we say that the United States is the #1 terrorist, that it is the bully of the world, because the United States refuses the right for people's sovereignties and instead uses barbaric militarism to achieve its own gains. at the expense of human life here and abroad. Shame. Iran, like Palestine and many nations before it, is being told that its independence is conditional, that its right to defend itself and chart its own political path, to control its own resources, exists only so long as it aligns with Western interests. This is not democracy. This is imperial domination. And we are here standing together to say that we refuse to participate in that. We here in the Bay Area, we the people, are beginning to see clearly what imperial domination looks like. We are recognizing that the government willing to deny sovereignty abroad will also disregard the will of its own people here at home. We are connecting the struggle for self-determination overseas to our fight for justice and self-determination here within the United States. We are asking for accountability here because we know that we are standing on stolen lands. We are standing on stolen, like a city built off of stolen resources, including human bodies. What we do abroad comes back and impacts us directly, locally. And we refuse to continue to see the militarization of our streets and the militarization abroad.
Damn right!
So let us continue to stand together and be clear when we say that we refuse the war with Iran and we demand continued sovereignty and independence for the people around the world and for ourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Basma. And I am your final speaker, and I'd like to read a statement that has been sent by the Black Alliance for Peace. The Black Alliance for Peace is a formation of African Americans, diasporic Africans, and people from the African continent who have come together to oppose U.S. domination here at home, U.S. domination across our communities all over the world. People have nothing in common with militarism. We have nothing, we have everything in common with each other, and here is the statement. The Black Alliance for Peace condemns the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. The Black Alliance condemns in the strongest terms the recent U.S.-Israeli bombing of Tehran and other cities in Iran, which included the bombing of an all-girls school in Minab, which reportedly killed at least 50 students. This military attack, that's right, shame, shame. This military attack is a flagrant violation of the most fundamental principles of the United Nations Charter, and as articulated by Iran's foreign ministry and multiple international observers, it constitutes a clear act of aggression against a sovereign state, undermining international peace and security, and these types of actions are underscoring the rogue statism of the U.S. and Israel as existential threats. Western powers, especially the U.S., have embraced international lawlessness to support Israeli expansionism, and just in the last 2 months we've seen more evidence of this with the U.S. kidnapping President Nicolas Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores and the bombing, invasion, and intervention in Venezuela. This is a criminal escalation, and it only serves the interests of one imperialist country, and that is the United States. Shame, that's right. It flies in the face of domestic and global public opinion, and global public opinion largely rejects this type of violence. The international community has condemned the strikes as an unprovoked act of armed aggression. And so, when we're faced with such international violations of law, we have to ask, whose interests are being upheld? Certainly not Iranian school children. Certainly not Iranian workers or the millions of people worldwide who desire peace. It is a capitalist, imperialist, ruling class that rules over ever-accelerating militarism and the most extremist elements in Tel Aviv and Washington that benefit from the carnage. So, More immediately, we are calling on all people of conscience to stand with the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Iranian people against bombing and intervention, and to mobilize where they are against the widening scope of U.S. war, and to defend the right of peoples and nations to resist imperialist violence. No compromise, no retreat. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Another round of applause for Lisa and all of our speakers tonight. And a round of applause for you, community, who came out today, who are in the streets, who are not going to stand for U.S. imperialism, not here, not abroad, and not anywhere. Am I right? So now we have to think about what we're going to do next. Because our fight, our struggle for liberation cannot end here tonight. Am I right? So here are the next steps that I'm going to give you. I'm going to leave you with some homework this week. When you go home, when you go to work, when you go talk to your friends, I want you to tell people about what you heard here tonight. I want you to tell the people in your community about the struggles of the Iranian people, the struggles of the Palestinian people, and the struggles of the people right here at home, and how they are all connected. And then on Friday, we're going to have an organizing meeting. We're going to have an organizing meeting in Oakland. I know it's far, but you can make it out there at 1499 Fruitvale Avenue. We're going to be there at 7 o'clock. You're going to hear from speakers, and we'll probably do an art build. We'll probably make some placards, because on Saturday, there is going to be another action. Okay? There's been a call to action on Saturday, and we're going to get more people. We're going to get 5 times the people that are out in the streets to yell, so that the American government, so the Israeli government can hear that we are not going to stand for genocide and war. Not on our dollar, not with our bodies. So we're going to talk to our community. We're going to go to the organizing meeting on Friday, and Saturday we're going to hit the streets. Am I right? All right, we're going to end with a chant. You ready? No war on Iran! No war on Iran! No war on Iran! No war on Iran! No war on Iran!
No war on Iran!
No war on Iran!
No war on Iran!
No war on Iran!
No war on Iran!
No war on Iran!
No war on Iran!
That's right!
Thank you, everyone!
Get home safe tonight! Get home safe, find a buddy, get home safe, and I'll see everybody on Saturday, right?
See you on Saturday!
Hola, hola.